Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is able to hear me and everyone is able to see my screen. If possible, can someone please confirm if you are able to hear me clearly and able to see my screen? Guys, can someone please confirm me, guys, if you are able to hear me clearly and able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Right. So on an event-driven architecture, just like we are going to see the code, guys. Hands-on for today, where we have a order service, email service, stock service, SMS service, shipment service. Total 5 microservices, guys. Order service, stock service, email service, SMS service, shipment service. Okay. Once order service payment is completed, it will go to the order object or the order will go to stock service, which will update the inventory, email service, which sends an email to the customer, SMS service, which will send an SMS to customer, and shipment service, which is going to start the shipment. Okay. Now we are going to see the code, guys. One by one, we are going to see here. So first point is, along with our regular service, email service, order service, shipment service, SMS service, stock service. These are our regular microservices, guys. I have workflow configuration service, guys. Workflow configuration service. What is this actually? What is this actually? It is a connecting between this workflow service, connecting between order service to other services. Whenever order is completed, it will just like keep the data into the workflow, and that workflow will distribute. So that is what we are going to discuss further today. In workflow configuration service, we added a dependency called as AMQP, guys. AMQP, this is a dependency. Okay. And we connected to, this is my, maybe I'll increase the font, guys. 1 second, I'll increase the font. Right. Okay. So my RabbitMQ is in my in this computer only. By default, it is connecting to 5672. Username is guest, password is guest, and this application runs on 9090. Okay, so that you no need to write a code to connect to RabbitMQ. Just like Spring Boot has a auto scan, right? Enable auto scan at a bootstrap level. Enable auto scan is there, which is going to scan the RabbitMQ AMQP dependency, which the jar AMQP jar, which is which has the code connecting to RabbitMQ, and the connection will be established. Now we'll see the code here, guys. So RabbitMQ configuration. What I am trying to do is typically, okay. Sir Devendra, if I type the code, nothing will happen, sir. If I explain the code, if I need to start from the scratch, I need to type, means it will take a lot of time. Okay. And you can take it, I think. You can create it and you can do that. Just like I am explaining the code and running the code. Doesn't give any advantage if I type the code. But these are the big projects, right? If it is a small project, right? I mean, in regular Spring Boot classes, I will write the code. Okay. So this is a big projects and a lot of code will be there. And always we compile the code and we'll run the code and we'll make sure that everyone will follow that actually. That is a practice I will follow. Okay. Right. Now here, by default, I'm creating a stock queue, email queue, SMS queue, and shipment queue. Okay. By default, a stock queue, email queue, SMS queue, and shipment queue. This is what I'm going to create the queues here. Okay. So in RabbitMQ world, a queue will be there. This is called as arc.springframework.amqp.core.queue here. This is the queue here. So which I am going to create a stock, an email, and SMS and shipment. How many queues I need, sir? 4 queues, right, sir? Order stock queue, email queue, SMS queue, shipment queue. And I need a workflow. This is my workflow. The workflow name is payment exchange is the workflow. Payment exchange is my workflow, or payment post processing is also fine. Payment post processing is also fine. Anything, just like you can write a name in such a way that you should understand in your thing. Here I have taken fan out exchange, guys, here. Okay. Fan out exchange in RabbitMQ world here. So what exactly if I shared the RabbitMQ PPT here. Okay. Fan out means it is one kind of exchange which does broadcasting, which does broadcast. How many queues that exchange will have? If you send a message to this workflow, how many queues it is there? It will broadcast to everyone. Just like in WhatsApp, right? Good morning to everyone. I want to send a message to everyone. Broadcasting, right? Similarly, we need to select a fan out exchange here. Okay. We need to, Mr. Devendra, I'm explaining how fan out exchange works. That is what I'm explaining. Okay. Right. So what exactly fan out exchange means? Whenever we send a message in the RabbitMQ, if I take a fan out exchange, it will send a message to all the queues, guys. How many queues are it is binded? So this will be send a message to all the queues here. Okay. It is internally having a code here. Totally we have 4 queues, guys. Direct exchange means a specific queue. Direct exchange means a specific queue. Fan out exchange means all the queues. And topic exchange means specific queues. That's what I told, sir. Unicasting, multicasting, broadcasting. Okay. Let me write here. Totally we have 3 types of queues, 3 types of messages. Unicasting, single queue, direct exchange. Multicasting, more than 1 queue. 1 or minimum, 1 or more, something like that. Topic exchange. Broadcasting, all the queues to the workflow. To the workflow, that is called as fan out. This is called as fan out exchange here. Okay. So total we have 3 types of exchanges in RabbitMQ: unicasting, multicasting, broadcasting. In our design point of view, sir, if I want to send a message to only 1 queue only, at any point of time, 1 queue only I want to send it, I will take direct exchange. No, sir, I want to selectively select more than 1 queue. I have 10 queues, but I don't want to send a message to all the 10. Maybe 1, 3, 5, something like I want to select more than 1 queue. That is multicast. Broadcasting means all the things here to everyone. Now here, what I did here in my code here, what exactly I have done in my code here, I have created 4 queues: stock queue, email queue, shipment queue. 4 queues I have created. I have taken fan out exchange here. I have typically taken a fan out exchange here. What is my workflow name? Payment exchange. So the beauty of RabbitMQ is if I send a message to this exchange, I will only send a message to exchange. Okay. Whereas in other frameworks like Kafka, ActiveMQ, other frameworks, right? We will send the queue name. But here we will not send the queue name. I will send a message to payment exchange, and payment exchange in RabbitMQ, it has a configuration. Oh, these are the queues are binded to me. Then it will send the message to all the queues. Okay. And how we bind it here? This is the code we bind it, sir, here. Stock queue, I bind it to the exchange. The exchange is what? This is the exchange method. Okay. Email queue, I bind it. SMS queue, I bind it. Shipment queue, I bind it. So I am binding the 4 queues here to this exchange. Stock queue, email queue, SMS queue, shipment queue. To this, all the 4 queues I bind it. This is my workflow. What I told here, hey, please create 4 queues here. I want any order payment is completed. That order will come to all the 4 queues. That is my requirement. That is why I have taken a fan out exchange and I have binded stock queue, email queue. I binded stock queue, email queue, SMS queue, shipment queue. I binded all the 4 queues to this particular exchange. So this is my configuration. Let me repeat, guys. Let me repeat here. Okay. I created 4 queues here. And I created a fan out exchange here. This is a fan out exchange. If we want to broadcast the messages, we can use fan out exchange. Publisher only sends the message to this workflow. RabbitMQ internally sends the messages to all the queues bounded to this workflow. Right? So that is what I am binding here. So that any message comes here, it will go to this all the queues. After that, this is what our establishing connection factory. This is AMQP template or Rabbit template. We call that as Rabbit template or AMQP template. Okay. Just like our database connection, right? Connection factory. Here also a connection factory message. Okay. Any message I'm sending here, I want Jackson, like Jackson dependency, convert into JSON object. Okay. My all microservices will communicate with JSON, right? So I want to, if any message coming to my queue that I want to use, convert into JSON. I will not write code at each individual microservice level, convert an object into JSON. I will send the Java object. RabbitMQ should convert that into JSON. At a queue level, I added the, AMQP template level, I added this. Okay. So that this is typically converting it to JSON. And this is my configuration, guys, typically. And what I have done is my business logic. Order.java is my business logic. My general order ID, email ID, product ID, mobile number, shipper, shipment status, zip code. These are my basic entities or basic properties of my main entity order class. Something like I created based on this. Okay. For a particular order, email, customer email, products, mobile, shipment, and zip code. These are available my order class. This is my DTO class or whatever the things. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is just like I'm initializing the template, I want to make sure that whether this entire setup is created or not, I can write a test endpoint. Test endpoint. Just for your test purpose, it's not required here. Okay. Whenever you do here a 9090 workflow / post payment, it will send a message to the workflow. You see here, order object is equal to all our new test. Now here, AMQP template. That is in our Hibernate, we have session factory. In our JPA, we have entity manager factory. In your JDBC connection factory, here also, RabbitMQ, AMQP template. In Kafka also, Kafka template will be there, guys. In Kafka also, we have Kafka template. It's an interface which will connect to RabbitMQ, AMQP template, and convert and send. Sir, I am only sending to payment exchange. I am not mentioning any queue name here. Understand, guys? Here, we will only mention exchange name, workflow or exchange name. Here, you will only mention workflow or exchange name. That's it. RabbitMQ will intern. This is the important point. Convert and send. Convert and send means convert into JSON object. Because I am sending only order object, guys. I am sending only order object. That is order.java I am sending. I don't want to order.java. Order.java. Order.java will convert into order.json and that will be sending this message. Just like I wrote a test message for testing purpose, it's not required here. So this is my workflow microservice, guys. What is that workflow microservice is giving? To my scenario, I created a fan out exchange that is a all queues message. I've created all the queues. I've created a workflow. And if I send a message to that workflow, it will get all the message will be sending to all the queues. Okay.
So how will it map the payment exchange?
Yeah. Maybe I'll repeat here. I wrote a code, right, sir? This is my payment name is payment exchange, sir. Okay. Okay. This is my payment exchange, sir. I define with a fan out exchange. I mentioned right here where fan out means broadcasting. I created a fan out exchange. The exchange name is your business logic name. Payment post payment or whatever. Okay. And here, what I did here, I binded stock queue to that exchange. I binded email queue to that exchange. I binded SMS queue to this exchange. I binded shipment queue to the exchange. I told that add these 4 queues to that exchange.
What is that exchange again? Go to top.
Payment exchange. This is exchange method.
Oh, that method name, it is the bin
Correct.
name. Right?
Exactly. Yes, this method name, whatever the name I write here, that method name.
Okay.
This is the code in RabbitMQ. We know, I mean, it's like it's a normal, okay. Our intention is, sir, okay, these queues are binded to this exchange. For example, sir, I don't want all the queues, sir, only 3 queues. Then I can remove also. So what is that I am looking here? If I send a message to here, to how many queues it should send? That is what we need to write over here. And at runtime, I can change. At runtime also, I can change. That is what we need a loosely coupled architecture. I told, right? That is what we need a loosely coupled architecture, right? So that is. Any questions here, guys? As of now, anyone? Maybe I'll keep at the end this code.
How it will be changed during runtime?
I'll explain. I'm going to explain. In RabbitMQ, I shown in the last class, right? For example, product exchange is there. Where you saw some bindings are there, we click unbind at runtime. But through code also, I'm going to showcase. I'll explain the basic flow. Then how can I change? I'm going to explain. Because I need to change, right, in this flow. In this flow, I need to change, right? First of all, I'll send a message to all the queues. After that, I don't want stock queue. Stock queue should be removed from here and it should be called from shipment. That is what I'm going to do that, right? So at that time, I will explain here. Clear? Yeah. Any other questions so far on the workflow point of view? Chaitanya, Vinod. There is a new participant I saw, Tyler. Sir, are you joining daily, sir? If please don't mind, I'm unable to recollect. Tyler. Sir, who is this participant, sir? Please, yeah. I'm not able to hear actually.
Sure. How the binding happens, because we are just injecting an object of a queue and it is not mapped to the queue we created for different services. How it's mapping, sir? How it does mapping?
Sir, this is the line which creates a queue, sir.
Sir, we are just creating a queue.
Correct. One second, let me explain.
We are giving the name of the queue, and based on the name, we are injecting in the binding. In the binding side, we are injecting one
Correct.
queue. So based on the name stock queue, it is going to be mapped or something else.
Name only. Name based on the name only. Based on the name. Whatever the name, method name right here. Stock queue, email queue, SMS queue, shipment queue. I will run the code. You will see now. First of all, I will run the code. You will see. Now let me run the code here. First, I will run the code. You will see here. First, I will only workflow side. I am running the code, sir. Now here, created a connection, attempting a connection to 5672, creating a new connection, rabbit connection. Okay. Stock queue, email queue, SMS queue, shipment are created. Now we'll see here exchanges. What is our name? Payment exchange, right, sir? The name. You see here, guys. Email queue, SMS queue, shipment queue, stock queue. So if you want to remove at runtime, you can remove this, unbind. This is not through workflow. Through RabbitMQ system. I can remove this. email queue, SMS queue, I can remove this, or I can add also. I can type the queue name, and if anything are there, I can bind, I can do anything at runtime. I can add a queue, I can remove a queue. Now how it is binded, sir? With the name of the email queue, name of the SMS queue, name of the shipment queue. So this is the code. This is the code which will create the queues. 4 queues will be created. This is the code where workflow is created. This is the code adding the queue to the workflow. Adding the queues to the workflow. I'm sorry, clear?
Sir, clear, sir. When we are creating a queue, so we are giving the second parameter as false. So what it means, sir?
By default, sir, the parameter false is, this is a rabbit property. Sir, I have a queue, sir, but I'm not sending any messages, not anything, sir, there. No, I mean, it's an empty queue. It was there for a long time. I am mentioning that a durability flag here. Durability flag. As long as messages are not coming to the queue, maybe it has its own configuration time, 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Okay. It will drop the queue automatically. It will delete the queue. It will not be there in the memory. If at all, after deleting the queue also, if I'm sending a message, right, at runtime again it will create. If a false is there, okay, by default it is going to maintain the queue based on the messages coming to the queue, inbound, outbound. If I set true, assuming that while set true here, always it's in the memory. Even though messages are coming, even though messages are not coming, always they are sitting in the memory. So RabbitMQ mentions to use false. What it is telling, you no need to worry. If there are no messages are there, it will delete it on runtime. If you really require at the time, it will recreate again. It will do something kind of memory efficient memory management. And false is the recommendation from RabbitMQ to create a queue point. That is a durable flag. Okay. So my intention is I am using RabbitMQ for establishing this architecture. On design pattern, what is my design pattern? Event-driven architecture is my design pattern. What is the basic use of design pattern of event-driven? Is at runtime, I want to change the workflow. An event, once post-payment event is done, at runtime, in a microservice architecture, I want to change the workflow. That is the point. I am implementing, I can implement through Kafka also. I can implement through ActiveMQ also. Just like I am using RabbitMQ, as its advantage is there, you will see here. What is the advantage here? If I send a message to this particular workflow, I will not send a message queue order queue.send, SMS queue.send, shipment queue. I'll not mention any queue name. I will only mention the workflow name that will take it. That is the beauty of extra advantage with RabbitMQ. Clear? Yeah. Just like I want to hear from dialer. Just like I want to hear, sorry, ask you multiple times. Are you joining for today, sir? I didn't saw your name a couple of times actually. Sir, anyone is able to hear his voice or not? I am only not able to hear. Anyone able to hear voice?
No, sir.
Okay. Sir, we are not able to hear your voice. Okay, that's fine. Because I never see this participant name. If you are not able to speak, can you type, sir, if possible? Are you joining daily or somehow you join newly? I want a clarity. That's the point. You can type, sir, because we are not able to hear your voice. Okay, right, sir. So this workflow is getting created and all the queues are created. And the intention is, if you need any change in this flow, I can stop it, I can start it. By business logic will not impact at all. That's the point. Okay. Now, this is workflow is done, sir. My real business logic, order service, sir. That's it, right? Order service. The real business logic of order service. Okay. It'll go to order service here, where the same order object. This is my order class. Order ID, email ID, product ID, mobile number, shipment, all the things here which are in an order object. And just like I'll go to the pom.xml. In the pom.xml, same AMQP. AMQP, I added the dependency. Okay. And I need to connect AMQP template because I need to send a message, right? I should have a connection, right? I should have a connection, and that message should go to message converter. That is message listen container. This is a predefined code of RabbitMQ, these three lines, these three APIs predefined. Just like you want to establish a connection, and the connection message will go to JSON, and that message listener container will be returned over here. Okay. Okay. You're there from beginning before I watch backup lessons every today, and today I'm joining on. Thank you. Yeah, right. Now I have a controller. This is my controller, sir. Okay. This is my mapping here. This is my mapping here. I don't need this. What I'm doing here, once my payment is completed, that's business logic. Once if order object dot payment is completed, let me send that data to that order object. This order object, I want to send to the payment exchange. Okay. Just like this is my event, sir. This is the event here. The below is the event where once the payment is completed, we are pushing the object to queue, to RabbitMQ. So here, rabbit template dot send to this exchange and my order object. Second parameter is null, sir. If you want to send a specific queue, that's a direct exchange will be there. That's the second parameter. For here, second parameter will be null. Routing key, we call that as a, but it's no use here. So I'm going to send a payment exchange, and you will see here order object. Once your regular logic is of payment is completed, then you will push the message to the queue here. So what is that I'm going to tell as part of this particular diagram? As part of this diagram, sir, order service queue. Okay, sir. Order service to queue. Once my order is at what part? I mean, if order object dot payment is completed, I will send the data to the queue here. That is what event here for me. That is the event. The below is the event for me, where I am telling to broadcast this order object. Send this order object to all the queues binded to this exchange. And we'll get a message sent to RabbitMQ fanout exchange successfully. Something like that. This line of code is the event here, where I'll make a event post payment and we are going to have. So if you are integrating with Angular, localhost 4200, which is a cross origin, we need to write here. I mean, 4200 is the Angular port. If you are not interacting, you no need to write this. Cross origin is for if your Spring Boot application interacting with either React or Angular or Node.js, we need to mention at the rate of cross origin. Otherwise, you will get a CORS exception. Okay. So this is my order microservice, guys. This is my order microservice. What I have done here, I added a pom.xml like AMQP dependency. And I have a order object here. And I have a configuration connecting to RabbitMQ. And I'm sending the data to the queue here. This is my first microservice called as a order microservice. I'm going to call. Clear in this? Any questions on this order microservice here?
No, repeat again just once.
Which one I need to repeat? Which one I need to repeat, sir?
From the beginning, I could not understand.
From the beginning means from workflow?
No, here the order microservice.
Okay. So what is order microservice here? I have some code in the order service. Once my order is completed, whatever it may be, I want to push the data to the queue. That is architecture, right? That itself is an event, right? Once order service is completed, it's whatever the day appointment is completed, it is going to push the data to the queue here. That is the functionality here. What I am going to do here, my order microservice, I need to push the data to the queue, right? That means I need to have a RabbitMQ, right? So I'll take the dependency. Which service you are going to push the data to the queue? For that service, you need to add the Rabbit dependency, AMQP dependency. And I will add a code connecting to RabbitMQ. These 3 lines of code, 3 APIs, it will connect to RabbitMQ. Any message comes to RabbitMQ, it will convert into JSON message. And it is giving the message container. It will return the message also whenever you require here. So these 3 lines of code will connect to RabbitMQ. Any message will goes to RabbitMQ. It will connect and it will send. This is connecting to RabbitMQ. After that, my real controller. So which I created an endpoint, which is a post mapping, post payment. I will give my order object. That is, order object is there from any UI, it will come. Any UI, it will come. Okay. Simply, I am sending this particular order object to the workflow. AMQP template, RabbitMQ template, that is AMQP template. Convert this order object, convert and send. This is a RabbitMQ API. Convert the order object into order.json, and this will send to the payment exchange. So that I already created a workflow API. Okay.
Now, who will call that API? Who will call that API? Producer.
We already started. We'll run. I mean, this already we started, right? Workflow configuration we started. When we started, what we observed, sir? We observed that there are a payment exchange is created here. Correct, right? First we run the payment exchange and payment exchange is created and 4 queues are binded, right? First workflow we run, right, sir, already. And the second microservice is running. I'm telling that, hey, already I created a payment exchange. Already it is there available in the RabbitMQ. Before running this, you should run the workflow. First status is workflow you need to run. When you run the work,
what I'm asking, who will call that post method producer?
either Angular or React or UI or through Postman. We need to call explicitly. Once the order payment is completed, right? So for example, in the Amazon, assuming that in Amazon UI, your payment is completed, your payment is successfully processed. Then at that time, they'll call this post payment method.
Internally, they will call, right?
It's a REST API, right? Yes. It's a REST API.
No, I'm asking who will call that method? Where will call that method?
I'm going to call, I'll test through Postman. I'll explain, I'll call this method through Postman in the testing method. I'll call this particular post method through Postman or okay. Regularly, if any front end after a payment is completed, they will call this post method.
What is our question, Vijay? Actually, like what is the relation between web controller to order service controller? That is what my question. Like, is there any mapping? Like, see from how it will web controller will identify like which is the order service. From order service only, we are going to like payment exchanging. Na, we are sending that exchange. That exchange having number of queues. How it will be relation?
Sir, web controller means the name is, maybe I should write order controller.java maybe. The name itself is order controller.java. Okay.
Okay.
This is maybe the name I wrote is web controller. It should be order controller.java. Something like assuming that it's order controller.java. Okay.
Okay.
Now, in any of the UI, once payment is completed, this API will be called. How they will call? Localhost. What is the name here? Localhost. It's a REST API. Whatever 8080, it is connected to 8080, something like that. Order processing / post payment. They will give the order object. They will call this API. Front end, they will call this API because why they should call here? Hey, my payment is successfully completed. I will give. This is the post payment. You need to call this API for performing post payment operations. I'll talk in my my front end will call this. My front end will call this API. What is the purpose of this API? Post payment functionality will be executed here. Understand, Vinod?
Yeah.
It will be automatically called, or who will the way
we need to call. Explicitly we need to call. I mean, in real time, sir, once payment is completed in the payment submit button, right, sir? In the UI payment submit button, you will get the status, right? After the payment submit button, we will call this API. Automatically, this will be called. For our, in my testing purpose, I will explicitly call this only the API. Event-driven architecture. I am sending this event. Hey, my payment is done. This is my event. I'll explicitly call in my testing. Mr. Dialer, wait, sir. I'll come to email. First, let me clear here. Dialer, one by one will go. One by one will go, Dialer. Okay. Here, order service is not completed. Wait for some time. We'll go to all the other services. Okay. Yeah. Any other confusion here? Maybe I'll explain more. Dev, is it clear or any confusion? Can I explain once again or anything confusion here?
No, you can.
Yeah. Vinod, Ansari, you people clear? Okay. That's okay. Now what I have done here, I've created a workflow. I run the workflow as of now. That workflow is creating a payment exchange exchange one, which having 4 queues, which are binded to that particular exchange. And I have a order controller where if payment is completed, that will send the data to the queues. Okay, that is a post payment. Once the payment is completed, I need to do post payment. In the post payment, I'm triggering the event here. Event driven architecture means someone should trigger event, right? In our front end, click event, change event. That's what I mentioned, right? In the initial beginning of the class. Initial beginning of the class, I mentioned event driven overview. By default, page load, click event, radio change, drop down change. All these are my events here. But in microservice architecture, what is an event here? Calling a REST API. In a Paradise Hotel, order will be created. Through Swiggy or Zomato, action will be performed at the end. This is what I mentioned in the beginning of event-driven architecture overview. In this case, what is my event here? Calling the REST API is an event. This is my event here. That's what I wrote here. Below is the event where once payment is completed, we are pushing the data to the queue here. So when we call this method with the order object, what happens here? I am sending this order object to this particular exchange. I am sending this particular order object to this exchange. And RabbitMQ will send the data to all the queues, guys. Email queue it will send, SMS queue it will send, shipment queue it will send, stock queue it will send. When I explicitly invoke this API, what happens in the background? RabbitMQ will send that order object to all these queues: email queue, SMS queue, shipment queue, and stock queue. Loosely coupled architecture. Order service don't know. This order service don't know that it should send the data to these queues. That's what I mentioned, right? Loosely coupled architecture. Order service should not know that it should send a message to all these queues. It will send the data, it will give the data to this exchange, and that exchange will send to the queues. Order service nowhere related to email service. Order service nowhere related to SMS service. Order service nowhere related to shipment service. Order service nowhere related to stock service. A loosely coupled architecture through RabbitMQ. Okay. Now, after that, we'll go to one by one here. Okay. First is any service I can take here. Any service I can take here, which is as of now, I am sending to all the queues: stock, email, SMS, shipment. First now, as of now, what I'm doing here: stock, email, SMS, shipment. That is what I coded, right? So in my binding, email is there, SMS is there, shipment is there, stock is there. Now the message will go to all the queues here. First one is I created one more microservice. What this microservice will do here, it will listen to the stock queue. It will listen to the stock queue. That microservice is listen to the stock queue. Any item comes into the queue, automatically this microservice will be called here. the microservice will call that item. That is achieved using RabbitMQ listener. RabbitMQ listener. Something like cron job we have in Java, right? Cron job. I wrote an API, sir. At this particular time, this should run. I will write a cron interval, right? In Java, we have a cron jobs. You have ever, right, guys? I wrote an API. Every day, 6 o'clock, it should call something like wrote a method. So the cron job will have a, or instead of cron, we have this one more. I forgot the name. There is a one more pattern in Java that is also time based here. Okay, whenever the time reached, then it will call, right? Here also, what is the time here? The time is adding the data to the queue. When order service push the data, order service push the data. That's it. Once the data is pushed to order service, order service pushes the data, RabbitMQ will send to stock queue. As long as stock queue item is received, this stock service will be invoked, automatically invoked. How it is going to invoke here? I have a annotation called as Rabbit listener. Rabbit listener. This is the RabbitMQ annotation. Rabbit listener. It always listens to the stock queue. Whatever the queue name is there, right? Always it will listen to the stock queue. Whenever any items comes into the stock queue, Rabbit handler will call this message. Okay, let me repeat here, guys. Rabbit listener is annotation which will listen to the stock queue. Same Kafka consumer, same here, no change here. How Kafka consumer works, same here, but the annotations are changed. That's it. Okay, where Rabbit listener, which is listening always to the stock queue. Once an item is placed into the queue, new item is placed into the queue, Rabbit handler will call this message. So I need to write a logic related to stock processing. Like what is the code I'll write here? Update order set inventory is equal to inventory minus order object dot get inventory. Where order ID, order underscore ID is equal to order dot get order ID. Somehow this is my stock microservice logic I will write over here. Okay, this is the Rabbit listener, guys. This is a Rabbit listener which is listening to stock queue, sir. What is the functionality of this, guys? The following annotation will listen to stock queue. It will listen to the stock queue. If any new message comes to the stock queue, then this annotation will pick that entry, will pick the data. Okay, that is the functionality of this. Once the item is picked, Rabbit handler will call the message. Order service is not directly talking to stock service. Order service is pushing the data to the queue, and stock service is listening to the queue, and it will call here. Let me repeat here. Order service is not directly talking to the stock service. That's what we wrote in the diagram, right, guys? I am not writing inside order service.java. I am not calling stock service. What I am doing here? Once order payment is completed, I'll push the data to the queue and stock service will listen to the queue. It will call that automatically. Clear? Are any questions here on this rabbit listener?
Sir, and when the order is completed, so we are pushing the data to the exchange.
Correct. Exactly. To the exchange will push
And
it.
is there any means how the exchange is pushing data to the stock queue?
I told,
How
right,
it
sir,
internally works, sir?
that is a RabbitMQ. They wrote a code. What the code wrote? They wrote here. They created 3 exchanges: unicasting, multicasting, broadcast. Okay.
In our
Fan out.
case, we are using fan out.
Fan out. Exactly. In our
Yeah.
case, we are using fan out. Okay.
Yeah, so
In fan out, we already wrote in the workflow, right, sir? Here. Okay. Fan out exchange name is what? Payment exchange. I binded these queues, right? Stock queue, email queue, SMS queue, shipment queue. I binded these queues to the exchange, right? Whenever I send this message, that's what I shown you, right? In exchanges, what is the exchange name here? Payment exchange, right? Which is a fan out, right? If you see here, when I send this message, RabbitMQ, they wrote a code to send these data to all the queues. In WhatsApp,
which kind of codes are they have written to send the data?
which we don't know, sir.
How internally it works, sir?
By default, sir, it is the RabbitMQ code, sir. They wrote, for example, in Java, system.out.println. How it will print means that is the code they wrote, right, sir? Here, they mentioned if you want to send a message to all the queues, use a fan out exchange. You just send a message to this exchange and it will internally write the code to broadcast this message to all the queues here. That is the RabbitMQ code they wrote. How it internally works means whenever you send the message to this exchange, they might have written the code in that, hey, give all the queues for that exchange. Give all the queues for that exchange, and they will iterate internally one by one queue, and they might have sent the message to the queue. That's the code they might have written. First, get the queues with that exchange. 4 queues are there. Iterate 4 queues. One by one, send it. That is the code RabbitMQ internally wrote. Clear? Yeah. Okay. So payment is completed, but RabbitMQ is down. By default, sir, payment is completed. RabbitMQ is down. You need to retry. You should have a case. By default, RabbitMQ is down means in production, it will never be possible. RabbitMQ never be down. This is the success of RabbitMQ. Okay. It's a licensed service. It will never be down. But our services are down. Maybe our workflow service is down, something like that. You need to retry. That is what you need to take a design here. Once the payment is completed, okay, if you are not able to communicate that message to RabbitMQ, you need to retry the post payment. You should have you should have written the code like that to have a retry job, which should retry after a specific period of interval of time, and you should retry the logic. Apart from that, there is no options. Okay. Devendra, sir. Okay. Maybe in the next example or not, sir, because this is a long code, sir. I don't know. If I write the code versus explain the code, I'm not sure. Okay. But I understand. If I write the code, one day also I cannot write the code. One service, if I write the code, okay. And just like I'm explaining one by one, once you start the execution, even if I write the code, you will confuse. Okay. Once you start the execution, you will come to know here. Once you start the execution, you'll come to know. Maybe next example, if the length of code is very, very high. And if you are the beginners of Spring Boot, right, sir? In Spring Boot class, I will write the code. In Angular class, I will write the code. Because these people were new to that. Okay. This is a RabbitMQ. Maybe you are new, that's why, okay. But next example, if any new things, I'll write the code, sir. Next example, I will write the code, because to write and execute, and I need to come to the class means I need to write and I need to test it, and I'll come. That's okay. But next example onwards, I will I'll write the code. Okay. But as of now, just like as it's a new, you may be confused. But apart from that, nothing here. Yep. Maybe my time is reached, sir. Ansari, you have any other things? You have any questions? Okay.
Upload this code into that class.
Just
Google
now, yeah. My intention is maybe after you understood, I thought of uploading. But if you want to upload, right now I can upload here, sir. I can upload right now. Maybe my intention is after I explain the code, after you go through the everything, then only you understand, right? That's the intention. But if you want to upload it right now, I can do that. No issues. Okay. I'll do that. Ansari, are you clear or any question? I'm talking to you, man. Are you listening to me? Ansari. I don't know what's the problem. Are you listening to me, or maybe you're talking on mute? Okay, fine. I don't know. Guys, please listen to the class when the class is going on. Don't distract from the class. I'm talking to you, Ansari. Are you there? Okay, fine. Thanks everyone, guys. We'll meet tomorrow. Have a great day. Thank you.